everything works in marketing and everything does not work in marketing. There are people who will tell you that mailers are their number one source of new patients.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who will be like, never, never. What do you mean a mailer? I would never do a mailer, right? And there are people who will tell you that social media really works for their practice. And there are others that tell you they don't work for their practice. So all of this thing kind of comes down to us figuring out which marketing outlet, and in this case, social media is an outlet, allows you to get in front of your current patients and potential patients.
This is Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast where we ask the question, what does growth in dentistry look like to you? I'm Katie Polson, a dental hygienist and your host. Welcome to another episode of Growth in Dentistry. I'm Katie Polson, and we are excited to continue our conversation on marketing. And today we have a special extra bonus episode. Many of you may have noticed that this is dropping on a Tuesday instead of a Friday. What? It's because there are so many facets to marketing your dental practice, as you probably well know by now. And you're probably thinking, wait, they're going to skip social media? No, folks, we are not. And today we have a dynamic woman, Minal Sampat, with us today from Marketologist here, none other. So welcome to the show. We're so glad to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. Two hygienists talking about marketing. So tell us a little bit about your background, how you got here.
Oh, wow. Sure. So I am a marketing strategist, social media coach, best-selling author, and a Guinness World Record holder. So I know. That's how I launched my first marketing company, was by breaking Guinness World Record. But realistically, what happened was I was born in India. I grew up in St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands. And luckily, my parents still live there. So I still get to go and visit and be at home anytime I want and escape the cold weather and be on Magens Bay, which is one of the top 10 beaches in the world and just absolutely beautiful. So I got very lucky to grow up on an island. And then I decided to go to New Jersey. Out of all the places in the country, Rutgers University gave me the most scholarship to go to college there. So I said, all right, let's go to New Jersey. And while I was in New Jersey, I actually studied communication and biology. So those were my two fields of studying, and I was pre-dental. Mm-hmm. So I had full intentions of going into dentistry, but I really loved communication, which is marketing and PR and, putting things together and communication. And I really wanted to get into more and more communication, but I always had the biology with me too. So as a part of being in the pre-dental club, I had to go ahead and shadow a dental practice. It was a requirement. Well, do you remember when we used to fax things?
Yeah.
When fax was an actual thing. Mm-hmm. So I had to fax. I remember faxing my resume in 2006, I was a sophomore in college, trying to get a practice to say, come on in and shadow us. So I sent out all these 20, 30 resumes. And then one practice did reach out and said, come on in, Minal, and shadow us. Now, I didn't have a car or anything like that because I needed to get a big girl job before I could get a car. But I remember shadowing them, and they'd offered me a job at that time, and I was shadowing them. But I already was working 2 jobs in college, so I couldn't work there. And I had just told, and as graduation came close, I told my parents that I really, really, really like business and communication and marketing and advertising. This is what I really like. I don't really know if I want to go to dental school. And my dad was like, oh, come on, you're not going to go to dental school. And I'm like, just give me a chance. Let me see if I can do this. Just give me a chance. And then I had the wonderful luck of graduating in 2008. When literally nobody was hiring, when literally people who had fantastic careers had no more careers, right? And here I am getting out of college saying, I'm not going to go to dental school. I'm going to go ahead and do business. So it was quite a roller coaster ride. But I remember calling this practice. It was September. I called this practice and I said, hey, remember me? I shadowed you guys 2 years ago. Need a job.
Yeah.
You guys have any opening? And the office manager is like, it's a recession. We have 60 people working. We don't really need to hire anybody, but come on in at noon. And you never say no to a networking opportunity. You never say no. So the next thing I know, I go in and I'm being interviewed. And then the owner of the practice comes in and he's like, we have no idea what you're going to do in the practice, but we just like you. So we are just going to hire you and we'll just see where you fit in. So, I was trained on the front desk. I was in the lab assisting. And clearly because of my education for what I'm doing, I took over the marketing part of the practice, and the practice started growing. And then in 2013, I opened my first marketing company by breaking Guinness World Record. And here we are in 2022. So life has been very kind to me. And when people always ask me, how'd you get here? I say, standing on the shoulders of giants is how I got here. Literally people who supported me and were just kind,
Yeah. What a great story. I love dentistry. It brings people from all over the background. Like I came up from a different, my dad was a dentist. I went through dental hygiene school. And then I was like, I talk a lot and I should learn something about communication. So then I went to graduate school in communication. So we both have come to this. Yeah. So it's really cool.
And you know what the funny part is? So I went to hygiene school to understand how to make sure that we're always putting the patient first in our marketing.
Yeah.
So I had degrees in communication biology, but then I decided, I only ever practiced hygiene one or two times a week. That was it, because my focus was always more. How funny that we have a flip flop.
Yeah, I know. That's awesome. Yeah. But it really is so true that communication, I got asked all the time, I was the first hygienist that they had ever had through this graduate program at my university. And they're like, why are you here? And I'm like, every single course I've taken so far directly applies to what we do in our industry. We're communicating with patients. And then also I studied actual organizational communication, which is in office communication. But anyway, so cool. I didn't know that about you. Sorry, guys, you're listening to us. Just love on communication and hygiene. Okay. Well, let's switch to why people are tuning in, which is social media. Minal is a social media guru. So why is social media important to a dental practice?
Well, it depends on where the dental practice is and who they want to bring to their practice, right? I always believe that marketing and everything works in marketing and everything does not work in marketing. There are people who will tell you that mailers are their number one source of new patients. And there are people who will be like, never, what do you mean a mailer? I would never do a mailer, right? And there are people who will tell you that social media really works for their practice. And there are others that tell you they don't work for their practice. So all of this thing kind of comes down to us figuring out which marketing outlet, and in this case, social media as an outlet, allows you to get in front of your current patients and potential patients. What I realized with marketing, and specifically with social media marketing, is that it's one of the most convenient ways to show off what your practice is about, your practice's personality is about, without becoming heavy and text heavy and having advertisements around it. So if people want to get to know you, right? I feel that, in the marketing world, we always talk about building an avatar. And I go through this entire system where we build a patient avatar. Who do you want to bring to your practice? But you see, the flip point of that is that there is also your practice's avatar. When somebody comes to your practice, what should they feel like? What are they expecting? Like when we think of Disney, all of us directly know Disney. We can feel Disney, right? We can actually tangible have a feeling of Disney because we're like, we are going to Disney. Okay, we know exactly what Disney's about. And we're like, this is what it is. Or if we were to go to our Sunday night at dinner at mom's, the smells that are going to be in that house. How we're all going to be in the table, and that your cousin's going to come in and say something ridiculous or funny at the dining table, right? Like you can feel it. Well, in that case, your practice has an avatar. Your practice's avatar is, what does your practice stand for? Who is your practice? Who are the people who work there? And social media is the most convenient way for us to share that without being so heavy about us. And without being so heavy about the treatments we provide. You can easily create a fun reel with a treatment that you are doing. Like I have practices who do full mouth rehabs, and their business, one of their biggest businesses, comes from Instagram Reels, because they create a fun reel with a patient who just got, their treatment done. And that's the reel that they're sharing, instead of talking about just what is a full mouth rehab. So it's just the most convenient way. It's the easiest way. It allows you to control what you share, what you don't share. It allows you to put a line on, hey, if I'm able to go to this practice, what am I going to feel? Like, how am I going to be taken care of? How are the people who work there? Is it a happy team culture? Is it a sad team culture? Is the doctor really kind? Reviews are great, but this is where they see it. They can actually visualize it. And that's the best part.
Yeah, I love that avatar. I mean, I talk about it as well with personas. Like that's what it is. That's what you want to do. Right. And people with social media specifically, it's almost like, you're building a rapport like before they even get in the door. It's an easy way to build rapport before they even walk in the door. And I love the way that you get people out of their comfort zone on social media, because that can be a reel on a full mouth rehab is so much more interesting to watch, right? But everybody is so stuffy and they just want to do it that way. Getting the patient to participate is a little tricky. That kind of leads me to my next question, is like common mistakes in social media, because I mean, I've ran a social media for my practice and a couple others, and like it can be intimidating to approach your patients about like wanting to participate or feeling authentic. So what do you think are the most common mistakes practices are making when it comes to social media?
One of the biggest mistakes I see that is they would put stock content up.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a complete believer that social media could be easily handled inside the practice, inside the business.
Me too.
You may need fillers, you may need that stuff, but realistically, it should be done inside the practice. And I know that people are already hating me for saying that. Oh, Minal, I don't even have time to run my morning huddle. What do you mean I have to do social media? I know, but this is why you have awesome team members and team members whose job it is. So you don't assign a team member who's already doing a lot of work to say, now you also do social media at that time.
Right.
Instead, you have a team meeting and say, hey guys, so we are really going to level up our social media. Who here has an interest in social media, or who here is super active on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook? And I bet at least 2 people are going to raise their hands, and you can say, listen, I would love to give you 2 additional hours a week. 2 additional hours a week where it's going to be your responsibility. You are going to be our social media manager. And now this is this person's job. So you can easily create calendar, you can easily create content, and you can share it. And I started working with and I work with small and large practices. The smaller practice we started working with, she wrote this entire Google review for me, which I didn't even realize, where she said that she has seen more engagement in the last 2 weeks than she saw in the last 2 years.
Crazy.
And all that took was 4 posts. But all of those 4 posts were about the practice, about the doctor, about the team, about the patient. And she was shocked. She's like, I already had 80 comments on this post. And I'm like, I know, isn't that surprising? And she's like, I never had more than 2 likes before.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
You know, and you kind of want to start building in. So the second thing you said, how do you get your patients comfortable? And now there are 3 different steps to doing this. The first step in doing this is when you do assign somebody to become your social media manager, you do want to look at the personality a little bit and make sure this is somebody who is outgoing, who is an extrovert, who can connect and communicate, right? Because I feel that many times that doesn't happen. And that kind of creates a little bit of a pushback. If you have somebody whose job it is to communicate, but they hate communicating, then that's not going to work. So the first thing is the personality. The second thing is you remove the simple roadblocks. So if I were to take this right now, Katie, and just put my phone onto your face and I'm like, talk, you're going to be like, hold on, what? What am I saying? What am I doing? That's how your patients feel when you pull up your phone and you're like, let's take a photo. No, but or let's do a video. The number one thing with a photo or a video is that they are by themselves. If I were to go to you and I said, let's do a video, the number one reason people don't do a video is because they don't know what to say. So if you were to take a phone, if you just put it on there, they don't know what to say. So here's what I do. If you're doing a video, I always encourage, and you will see, examples of my clients doing this all the time. And they do this with boomers. I mean, a lot of the high-end treatment that people need are in the boomer generation because they need the full mouth rehab. They need the implants, right? And they do this with the boomers, and it's amazing. They will literally just take a chair or wherever they're in the practice, and they will just interview them. Mrs. Smith, how was your visit today? What was your favorite part? What did you really enjoy? Would you think that, your friends and family should come to us too? And now she's just answering questions like a normal conversation, and that's the video that you're putting out there. Or if you're doing a photo and the patient feels uncomfortable, you get in the photo with you and you always say, hey, this was such a great visit. Thank you so much for that compliment. You know what? I'm going to call the doc. Would you mind getting a photo with the doc and we can share it? So now the doc is in the photo with the patient and they're going to be like, of course, okay, this is great. It's because they feel alone and by themselves and they feel like all attention is on them. So the second part is to remove that roadblock that like I said. And the third part that it comes down to when you want to make it fun and easy is consistency. See, what is going to happen is you may post once, right? And you may post a photo of the doctor, and I guarantee you, no matter where you are, If you go and look at your current content that you have on your social media, anything that has faces, I mean, Facebook is not even lying. The first word in Facebook is a face. Anything that has a face, or like Instagram, the first word in Instagram is instant. You need to have so that they can instantly grab your, they're on their phone. You need to catch their attention. If you have faces, real photos and videos, people are sharing it. But the what I find is that they will share one photo and then they won't share anything again for the rest of the week. And that actually doesn't help the algorithm, because the algorithm has to be fed, right? So it needs to know that you are active, that you actually enjoy being here, because why would it give you the prime real estate on its own timeline if you don't even care about showing up for more than a week?
Yeah.
So the third one is consistency. So I would always recommend any practices, if you're just getting started, 4 times a week. Facebook, Instagram, pick. If you are getting much and much better, then you start posting more and more. And there is a whole different system to that. But just get started and be consistent and at least post 4 times a week. And you will see your engagement building up. And then as you get more comfortable, you create more content and you add more content.
Yeah. Those are some hot tips. I hope you guys wrote them down, because I'm just shaking my head over here if you can't see me, because I agree with everything she's saying. Absolutely. Consistency is the name of the game when it comes to marketing. I mean, we create a podcast here. It's consistency. Like everything with algorithms in the social media world has to do with consistency. I'm going to ask you one question that I didn't send you before, but what do you think about how much does they practice, because sometimes the algorithm will want to play off of you responding to other people, right? So how do you have your clients in there responding and commenting on their patients' photos and things like that, or other practices, or how much does that apply, I guess?
So engagement is the currency of social media. I just brought back a post on my Facebook page that was over a year old. And the reason that happened was somebody commented on it and I commented back, and now the algorithm's going, whoa, look, they're still commenting on this post and it's trending, and it was a year-old post. So comments are huge. That is the currency, no matter what social media platform you use, whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's TikTok, whether it's LinkedIn, whatever you're going to use, comments are the number one way for you to get more and more reach, and also to use the algorithm. Now, the issue that I have with practices commenting on patients' pages is simply that there's a fine line between being creepy and being supportive.
Yeah.
So if you happen to, let's say that, first of all, I don't think a patient is going to friend you on Facebook because they're going to follow your business page. But there are times that on Instagram, when they follow your business page on Instagram, you could do follow. And if you could start following that patient if they allow you. What I would do is, it depends on who the patients are. And let's just say that they are having a wedding, then I would just, hey, congratulations on the wedding, But let's say that they posted about something they're eating. Don't comment on that. Like, you don't need to be that creepster that is watching every single thing that they do. That is not okay. So I would be careful on how you draw that line when it comes to direct communication on your patients' pages. Yes. But on your own page, comment back. On your own page, if you were to post something that says, help wish Dr. X, Y, and Z a very happy birthday, and people are commenting, happy birthday, Dr. X, Y, and Z, happy birthday. Comment back. Thank you so much. You totally made his day. Oh, he loves this. High five to you. Thank you so much. Come and have some cake with us, right? Yeah, that's great. But just be careful of when you're commenting on personal pages of your patients. That's a fine line that you have to learn.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for clarifying that, because I think that's a question that people sometimes struggle with. And you're right. Like, if my doctor commented on a picture of me, I probably would freak out a little bit. I'd be like,
right, and it's very different where if it's it's different when it's for the big occasion, like a wedding. Then it's different because you're just saying congratulations, but it's like you're on your, you just made an Instagram story of you grabbing a smoothie or something, and the dentist is commenting on you. That's a little creepy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think it's important to mention that I feel like your social media it's an extension of your website almost, or your brand, right? And so I don't know I don't follow my OBGYN. I don't want to, but that doesn't mean that I wouldn't check them out on social media before I went to go there. So,
100%. I have so many people who would, now currently the millennial generation, which is, in their 30s right now, right? And I'm a millennial, and in our 30s, we are the ones where we are finally out of debt. We are we have homes now, we have families now. We are the largest generation in the US workforce. So this is a generation, these are the young families. The Gen Xers are the ones who are a little bit above us. They are the ones, who are in their 40s, right? So the Gen Xers, the millennials, is a generation that a lot of the people want to bring in. A lot of people want to bring to their practice because they are the new lifeblood. We 100% check you out on social media.
Yep.
We go to the website, we find you, we look at your reviews, and then we go into your social media pages because we want to know, once again, what kind of practice you are. We want to see the personality of your practice. How, again, and if we don't see that, it's a little bit of a harder sell for us, especially if your competition is doing awesome on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So these generations, especially the millennials, it's not a loyal generation. What that means is that we know that we have choices. We grew up with a phone in our hand. So we know that we can go to the phone and we can go to Yelp and we can go to Google and we can find all these choices and options available to us. So when we do our research, we want to know that we can connect with you, and that connection usually happens if what we see online, and also how we use technology. If your technology is kind of, if you are trying to go into your mobile phone, because that's majority of us are going to use a mobile device to look at the website, but the website is not even mobile optimized, or you have a scheduling link that doesn't even work.
Yeah. Then it feels outdated and then you won't go. It's so true. Such an important topic to talk about. Okay. We're really big in metrics and data because that's our jam here. And what are some of the key metrics that you track to decide if some of your marketing is successful social media? Because that can be kind of tricky to manage. Like, what I do here, how does it relate to actual dollars in the practice?
So the funny part is with social media, they give you all the metrics. So you can go to any of your insights, right?
Too.
It's free. So I can go to any of my clients' Facebook pages and look at their insights, and I actually know what kind of content is generating engagement, what kind of content is generating conversions. I can go into their Instagram insights and I can know what kind of content is working here or what kind of content is working there. So the first thing is you need to understand, to look at, and I 100% agree, metrics are everything. So the first thing you do is you look at the metrics to understand, because you may have a practice, let's say in San Diego, California, which the content that they share that gets engagement is very different than, let's say, a practice in a small town in Montana. It's two different kind of content that people are sharing, but it's all about which content is getting engagement for which audience. So once you know the engagement, now you come to the conversion part, right? So if I know that for this specific practice, their reels on average are reaching to 2,000 plays and they're getting all these comments, then I'm going to say, this is great. I know we just made a fun trend reel, but our next reel is going to be about full mouth rehab. The reel after that is going to be our dental whitening. So we start, and then let's say that I have a client that really does well with photos and nothing else. And we're going to be like, okay, so let's put on the culture photos, and now let's start and add the treatment photos. And now we are connecting with the engagement. And then with that, we directly add on things, right? So let's say we are doing Invisalign week. So we have that content and we know which one is the best one that works for us. So just an example, recently, one of my clients is doing Invisalign week and she only has one spot left now because all she had to do was use that category of content that works for her, post about it. And now we know, because we can put a code on anything that we use and say, hey guys, if you're calling to us about this, make sure you use social media X, Y, and Z dentistry. And so when you call to schedule us, they say that code and we're like, oh, you directly come from social media from us. Gotcha. So there are ways for you to use conversions, and then there are ways for you to look at the metrics, but the metrics have to be a strategy. It can't just simply be like, oh, look, this happy birthday post got 30 comments. No matter what your happy birthday post is going to get you 30 comments. But what about the rest of the content? And that's where the strategy comes in.
Yeah. And once you build that, it's easy. I think if you start with social media and you've never done it before, it can feel overwhelming. Once you have a strategy like you're talking about, it's easy to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to do this, 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 and this is the content I'm looking for. These are the patients and the schedule we should be looking for. Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Super great.
And another tip that you always want to do is you always get written consent from your patients, always, right? You always get a written consent. And I never really tag them specifically either. Let them tag themselves if they want, HIPAA and all of that. But what I would do is I would always highlight a patient or somebody else in my content, because let's say that I am your patient and I come to the practice and you took a photo with me that day and you post about it. Well, what you should do is you don't need to, like I said, I don't believe in tagging your patients because of HIPAA. Again, if you tag them, people can go to their profiles and stuff. But what I would do is you would post about it, and then you should send me a text or an email saying, hey, by the way, Minal, we just posted that photo. And now because I am in that photo, what am I going to do?
Yeah, you're going to look at it.
I'm going to look at it and I'm going to share it on my own timeline because I am in that picture. So now you're getting in front of all of my friends and family, which is amazing because those are the people you want to bring to your practice.
Yeah.
So there always has to be what I call a double dip when it comes to social media. Don't just post something and call it a day. Post something and go the extra step so that you can get the highest amount of leverage. Like if you have your patients who have businesses, highlight your patients' businesses on your pages. And when you do that, they're going to reshare your pages on their business pages, again, similar to their customers. So there is the one part of social media where you share about your practice and your culture and your treatments. But the other part of social media is it creates this exponential effect of reach if you do it correctly, because you're getting in front of people that you want to bring to your practice.
Yeah. And I have to highlight, because Modento is a wonderful product, but you can text customized consents to your patients for social media. So like, if you feel like that's like an awkward thing, just, hey, will you sign this so we can post and whatever, like while you're taking the photo, right? And then after, hey, we posted it. And it's just this natural cadence instead of this, like, let me get out this piece of paper and you're going to sign it. And it's very formal, and so, okay. Really, really awesome. So the really kind of the main reason why we're talking about marketing is because we want to talk about new patients. So how have you found social media to leverage new patients? I mean, hopefully that's the goal, right? When you do it, but.
I mean, 100%. It's always the goal is to get new patients in the door, whether it is with social media or not, whether if it's just with general marketing. But when it comes down to it, I think you need to have a very realistic plan, and you need to understand the differences so that you can combine everything together. Now, for example, let's say that you are trying to grow in your community, right? Now, this is a campaign that's been done by many, many different industries. I know a real estate industry does it a lot, where they do coffee on us, where they will go to a local coffee place and be like, hey, the first 20 people who buy coffee, we will pay for them. And they get a card in return. But what I like to do is take that idea and let's say we convert into dentistry and be very specific with dental, right? Let's say that you were to go and find a local restaurant. It has to be local. It has to be local. Local restaurant, cafeteria, I don't know, something, coffee place, restaurant, Mexican, Italian, smoothie place, I don't care. Something that's locally owned where your ideal patients go to. So let's say you have something like that, and let's say it's an Italian restaurant. Well, you go to this Italian restaurant, you're like, hey guys, we are a local dental practice, just a couple of blocks down for you guys. And we know the last 2 years were really tough with everything going on with the COVID, and especially affected the restaurant industry. So we want to do something for the community. I'm going to do a community give back. What we would like to do is anybody who picks up their order on Friday night will get a box of breadsticks on us. So now I'm the consumer. It's Friday night. I pick up my Italian to-go order, and then in the order, there's an extra box of breadsticks. And on that breadstick box, it says something like this: we hope this made you smile. The last 2 years were very annoying for our community, and we would love to give back. Your local dentist, and it has your name on it. And then it says something like, P.S. help us share this love on social media, #paidforward, #the dental practice. So now you're using the community because you surprise them with this free box of breadsticks, and somebody like me be like, a dental practice just bought me breadsticks. It's insane. Of course, I'm going to pay this forward, and I'm going to take that photo, and I'm going to post it, and I'm going to tag you guys, and I'm going to hashtag it, because now you're directly reaching to me. Yeah. So when people think of social media, they're always like, well, we'll make a post and patients will come to us. No, you have to consistently post, yes, but you have to come up with different strategies and different ways where you connect the social media as a tool to get directly in the community. And once you start doing that, you get new patients because you're directly going to them. Yeah. And
it's a good, I love how you gave that example, because it uses two tools in marketing, which is ground marketing and social media. And really whenever you can combine those, do it, right? Because then it's not just staying with the people that got the breadsticks. Then it goes beyond that, which is ground marketing has a very important aspect, especially to your practice if you're trying to grow locally in a new area. But social media takes it to that whole other level. I love that you added that on there. It's really, really awesome idea.
Well, so as a marketing strategist, I always want to look at everything that we can do and how we combine it. But going on with that same strategy, I'll give you an example. I had one of my client practices do this strategy. And the local business that they worked with, they were like, well, this is such a great idea. Thank you so much for supporting us. Because clearly the local business is not going to say no to you for giving them extra money for the night, right? So they're like, this is amazing. Hey, would you guys want to bring a table here that night? And this way people know who's buying them the stuff. And they're like, oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So they had a table there and they had, their team members in the t-shirts. Now, if I'm not a jerk and you just bought me free breadsticks, I'm going to come up to you and be like, that was awesome. Thank you so much. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we're a dental practice. We're accepting new patients right now. Here's our membership plan. We'd love to talk to you. So you are directly getting people to talk to you too. Now this strategy has so many levels. What I gave was a very low, you can do this level, but you bring it up so much more higher. You do story takeover with the businesses that you're supporting, and you do an entire thing that's on Instagram. You tell your patients about it and they tell their friends. It's like you could do so much with that one strategy, but so much of the brand awareness and reach could happen quickly because you are a business, a practice that cares, and you're just once again using social media as a tool to do that.
Yeah, so good.
Just different ways.
That was a really great example. I hope you guys wrote that down because it's one of those things, and it would be fun to do. No, it doesn't feel like work, right? Like that sounds fun. I want to do that, Really great. So the other thing that I feel like social media can really help with is patient retention. And I just want you to talk a little bit about that because we get so focused on bringing new people in and let's kind of utilize it to retain our patients. So talk a bit about that before we let you go.
Patient retention is a huge part because I think we sometimes forget that our number one source of new patients are our current patients. Even if our number one source of new patients says Google, they went to Google, they read the reviews by our current patients and then came to you. Mm-hmm. So no matter how you go around it, your number one source of new patients are your current patients. And as I mentioned with social media, you can't just focus on, let me post this and call it a day. And that's why I said we double dip and say, now that I post this, how can I have others share this so that I can be on their timelines? And how can I show up so that they are sharing about my business on their business pages? And all of that happens with your current patients. So there's obviously the way to keep them connected. Here's what's going on. Here's wish us happy birthday, or this is our new treatment. And they are the ones who originally start following you. And then you bring in other people. It's almost like, let's say you go to a party and at that party, you don't know anyone. So you kind of walk in, you're going to feel a little lost, right? Like, who do I go to? Who do I say hello to? I'm not sure. It's going to take you a lot more longer to connect with people. Now, let's say you go to a party where you know about 5 people. That's it. Let's say there are 100 people at that party, but you know 5 of them. So you directly go to the person, one of the 5 people, be like, hey, what's up? Like, they're so good to see you. Oh, and the other person said, let me introduce you to this person. Now, let me introduce you to that person. Now, let me introduce you to that person. So those 5 people that you know are connecting you with other people. That's social media. So if you have 50 followers, you can now able to connect with those 50 followers, friends and family members through those 50 followers. So there is this whole reach, like I keep saying, that is a big part of social media. And Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they all work very differently. Each of those platforms work very differently. So you can't assume that one will work the way the other, but I will tell you that Facebook owns Instagram. And if you haven't done Facebook ads yet, why not? Go ahead and do Facebook ads, because it's a great way for you to reach. If you're asking what budget should I spend on it, $5 a day, just start with $5 a day for 4 days, $5 a day for 4 days, and try it out. Start boosting those, start creating those ads. And then you could do targeting. That's the whole power with Facebook, is that they know anything and everything that you do. I mean, you can't go to the gym and not post a selfie because then you didn't go to the gym. So we even know when you went to the gym. And now you start focusing your content and then targeting people and the audience you want to be in front of.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, I feel like people, hopefully if you're listening, you've got some really good actionable tips and places to start. Most practices I think are aware at this point. Like, it's, when I graduated from school, it was kind of like, social media, why would I do that? And now it's kind of like, oh, I should be doing it, but maybe I just I started it and I stopped or whatever. So this is great information. Thank you so much, Minal, for taking the time. We ask the same patient to every guest, and it's, what does growth in dentistry mean to you?
Providing happy and healthy smiles.
I love it. That
I
is
mean,
short and sweet. I love it.
it's
It's great.
simple. I mean, isn't that the whole point? Isn't that what we do? Provide happy and healthy smiles. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. Perfect. Well, this has been Growth in Dentistry, a dental intelligence podcast. Again, special thanks to Minal of Marketologist. Where can they find you? And you guys, she has a really fun thing coming up. So you're going to want to hear it.
Yeah, my website is minalsampat.com, MINALSAMPAT.com. So clearly you can go to minalsampat.com. There's a contact us page. You can learn a lot more about me there. But clearly, I mean, this conversation was on social media. So seriously, go to social media. My Instagram is Minal Sampat LLC. Follow me, send me a DM, check out reels. I do a lot of sharing on what you should do and systems. I mean, I make reels on how to make reels. So if you want to get started with a lot of content, Instagram is a great place. Facebook, Minal Sampat, just friend request me.
Great.
Let's be friends. We can connect. And yeah, I do a lot of speaking, and I do a lot of hands-on workshop because I work with team members, and like I said, with practices where they want to learn, how do I make a reel? How do I create content? How do I build a calendar? What kind of calendar? When do I post? How do I post? So I do a lot of hands-on workshop. And I actually have a hands-on workshop coming up in St. Thomas in the United States Virgin Islands in August. We have 40 people already signed up. I'm only having 50 people because, like I said, it's very hands-on. Yes, it includes a beach party for anybody who's listening on Megan's Bay. Of course it does. And it's actually called CE on the beach because it's literally on the beach. The venue is on the beach, and that's how we are doing it. It's a hands-on workshop. So I have practices bringing anywhere from 3 to 13 team members. They're flying them in, and they're having a big,
so magical.
It's amazing. So if you want to come, that's CE on the beach, CE on the beach, just how it sounds, ceonthebeach.com. Check it out. And if you want to come sign up, you can reach out with any questions. But yeah, that's one of the biggest ones. And then we also have something happening at the Ritz in Maui in December. But if you go to my website, you're going to get to see a bunch of that stuff.
Perfect. We will direct them in case you want on the show notes. And then you can find some other great information by visiting our webpage at dentalintel.com. Thank you again so much for joining me. And thank you to our marketing department for all their work on this podcast. I'm Katie Polson. Keep growing.